Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. We're so glad you're in our audience tonight, whether you're listening to the audio or you're watching us live, or if you're watching the video later on. We're really glad that you decided to be in our audience.
Absolutely.
Chris Chrisman said, "Good evening, Rob and Joan."
Hi, Chris.
Welcome, Terry. She can hear you backstage. Well, she can hear me saying what you said. You knew what I meant, Chris. Joe Conchel said, "Good evening, Rob and Joan."
Hi, Joe.
Good evening, Joe. We're so glad that you're here.
Good to see you guys.
Yes.
Well,
Go ahead.
do you want to talk about anything in particular?
Well, actually, yeah, I wanted to tell everybody, and maybe I'll repeat it again later on in the show, but if you remember last June, we were asked to be at Tampa Bay Screams, which is like this...
It's a horror convention.
Yeah, it's like a horror convention where they show horror movies and all that kind of stuff.
Like a Comic Con, only it's a horror con. Yeah.
But Steve Altier, whom you know has been on the show, is there. He has a booth there and stuff. And so Tampa Bay Spirits was asked to be there. And anyway, to make a long story longer, we are going to be at Tampa Bay Screams January 19th, and we will try to live stream.
It's right here in Tampa.
It's right here in Tampa, yeah. Paul Hollis says, "Hello, Rob and Joan."
Hi, Paul.
And Dave Murray says,
Hi, kids. Hi.
"Hi, kids, and welcome, Terry." Hi, Dave. Joe Consul says, "Love your festive sweater, Joan." Yeah,
Yeah, isn't that great?
it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
It
And I
is.
love penguins.
Got a lot of
Anyway,
stuff.
so anyone who's in Tampa, come and see us at Tampa Bay Screams.
Yeah, January 19th.
And we will try to live stream. And if we can't live stream, then we'll definitely show parts of it on
Haunted Campfire Tales. On our Haunted Campfire podcast.
You guys know I can never remember the name of our other podcast.
We need to change the name
So
of that.
sad.
Make it a little shorter. You know.
Yeah, or I need to have a little sign.
I've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about tonight.
Well, let's get to it.
It won't take long. Next Saturday, this coming Saturday, episode Rewind is going to be Stephen Panis. And I think he wrote the book Walk On about his son.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, definitely a difficult one. That'll be this Saturday, 5:30 p.m. right here where you're watching right now. You should be able to catch it. That's Eastern time in the U.S. Next Wednesday, we have a return guest. Pamela Nichols is going to be on 7 o'clock Eastern time, again, right here where you're watching right now. And that'll be a live show. December 25th, of course, is Christmas night. We're not having a show, guys, so there won't be any show. Now, Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles news. First of all, out right now is Justified Homicide by Kelly Marshall. That's available. That's book 30. That came out in November. And available for pre-order now is The Blue Bonnet Conspiracy by Jenks Schwartz. I just saw it on there today. It releases on December 20th. Then also what we've got going on is starting next Tuesday, December 17th, all of the Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicle books will either be free or 99 cents. Actually, there'll only be one that's free, and that's Joe Congel's Second Chances. So it'll be free on Free Booksy. All the other books are going to be 99 cents in the series. So if you haven't bought any yet, or you want to get caught up on the ones that you've missed, now is a great time to do it, starting Tuesday I think it runs for 5 days.
I think most of them also are always on Kindle Unlimited free, most of them.
Right. But if you like to buy them and keep them on your Kindle that way, it's a great time to pick up the entire series for like $30. So
Yeah.
it's like 30 books
Yeah.
that you're going to get in the same series. So it's pretty cool. Also, I want to make sure everybody knows you can gift books on Amazon. You can gift it to the reader in your life on Amazon. On the right side of the screen, when you go to a book that you want to buy, just underneath where you normally would pay, there's a box that says buy for others and give as a gift and a few other things. But all you have to do is click on that box and it'll give you the opportunity to gift somebody a book or lots of books.
Pipstones Publishing says, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the audience anyway. And Chris Chrisman says, hello, everyone. And Robert White says,
White,
hi. Hi, Robert.
Down under.
Down under.
How are you
From
doing,
Australia.
Robert?
He's an Aussie farmer. Pipstones Publishing says, I've been wanting to see your podcast for a while. Glad I was able to see this tonight. Well, we are glad you are too. You can always watch any of the podcasts on our YouTube, which is Meet the Author Podcast.
Yeah, Meet the Author Podcast.
At Meet the Author Podcast.
Right. That's what you got to put in there when you're searching.
But they're all there. So you can watch any of them. And we have had many wonderful authors on with many wonderful books.
Right. 180. This is 185 episodes. So there's lots to catch up on. So shall we get started?
Yes. Meet another wonderful author.
Most definitely. And here we go. Hi, Terri.
Hi, Terri.
Hi.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
We're really good. We're really glad that you could be on the show.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Terri, when you started to write, how long you wanted to write, all of those good things that everybody wants to know about authors.
Alrighty. Well, I've been writing for more than 6 decades. When I wrote my first story when I was 5 years, that I can remember. I was 5 years old, sitting at my babysitter's kitchen table, and I still remember it. I wrote a story about a little boy who got a puppy for his birthday. And I even drew pictures. I illustrated it. I don't draw very well, but I think my writing has improved over the years. But I was always a writer. I was always the kid in school who, instead of paying attention in math class, I was writing stories in my notebooks.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but I still managed to get good grades because I knew I had to. But I've been writing my whole life. Then when I went to college, I'm a very practical person, and I knew that I was going to have to pay my bills and put myself through college, and I was going to need a career to pay back those student loans. So, some people have asked me, well, did you decide to be an author early on? I was like, no, I was always a writer, but I knew I needed a job to pay my bills because when I was in my 20s, I didn't think that being an author was something that you could really do. So I became an English teacher instead. But I've been writing always.
Oh, I'm sure that probably helped your writing, though, to be a teacher, to learn all that stuff. You had to be a teacher, right?
Yeah. And to teach literature and writing was great training. It helped me improve my own writing so much to, read the classics and teach the classics. And I think it's like the best training an author could have.
Yeah, I think reading the classics is something that people really aren't taught anymore. I don't think, not like we did, but we all had to back in the day. It is great training, not only to teach it, but to read all of those great classics.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody should. Yeah. And even like Agatha Christie and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and, and I remember early on, I liked the G.K. Chesterton and I'm trying to think of who else would really influence me early on. I liked a lot of sci-fi writers. I don't write sci-fi, but I certainly did like reading sci-fi.
I'm the same way. Yes, I loved Ray Bradbury, Isaac Asimov, so many great sci-fi writers. Yeah, I love it too. I don't think I could write it, but I love to read it.
I love Isaac Asimov, and one of our daughters was born on his birthday, and I always say I did that on purpose. But I actually took one of his, well, I went to one of his lecture halls. It was a course that he taught at Boston University, and it was, there were 800 of us in the lecture hall. So, but just because it was Isaac Asimov, not for any interest in what he was teaching. And he wasn't teaching literature. He was teaching science. He was a scientist. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why he wrote science fiction.
Right.
And that's why he wrote it so well, too. I thought he the laws of the robot that comes from Isaac Asimov. Mm-hmm. Do no harm. It's amazing. Anyway, we digress.
What drew you to the genre that you decided on?
Well, I've written everything except science. Well, I've dabbled actually in some science fiction. Probably not very well, but I've written so many different genres. But when Gone Girl came out and I read that, I just thought, writing mysteries with lots of twists, I thought that would be so much fun. So I started kind of veering in that direction and writing thrillers, mysteries with twists, and I thought, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to actually pursue being an author in that genre.
Well, I know your latest book is called, you want to show
Watch Your Back. Yeah.
Watch Your Back.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that will be out when?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
And we have a copy of it. We got an advanced reader copy, so which Terri was kind enough to send to us.
Here's your first book is All the Dark Places and What Waits in the Woods. And then the latest one is Watch Your Back. Yes. So I don't think, anything says thriller better than the titles that you've decided to choose. All the Dark Places. Okay, scary already, right? What Waits in the Woods?
Don't want to go in the woods.
Who isn't afraid about the woods? I mean, they've got bears in there and stuff.
Right.
Never mind what kind of monster or murderer might be lurking in there. And same with Watch Your Back. That's scary. I mean, we probably all had dreams about somebody following you or something like that. And it's, that is scary. So would you like to tell us a little bit about Watch Your Back? And then we can go back over the other ones, but without giving any spoilers.
Well, I have a detective who is in all three books. And they're all set in a small fictional town called Graybridge, Massachusetts, which is a little bit outside of Boston. Just an area that I love. And I'm a big history nerd, so I like to spend time in Boston and doing genealogy research and just historical research and things. Not that my books are historical. They're not. They're contemporary. But I just love the area. And anyway, in the third book, in Watch Your Back, it's about a young couple. The wife is a psychiatrist, and the husband works at a car collision shop. They've only been married about a year and a half. But I was kind of inspired to write it because, as you know, if you have adult children, how difficult it is today to keep career, home, and family together. And in Watch Your Back, my protagonist, Eve, is working 60 and more hours a week. She's worn out. She has no time for her husband, and they have a baby girl who wasn't planned, but very much loved. But their lives are really stressful. and the marriage is suffering because of that. And then, just to make matters worse, because that's what happens in a thriller, someone has decided to ruin their lives. Someone has decided, and that's the whole idea of watch your back. And Eve and Nathan cannot figure out who is doing this to them and why. And that's kind of how the plot unfolds, is my detective is trying to figure out who is trying to cause them harm, or maybe one of them is involved.
Okay. And you said she's a psychiatrist?
Yes.
Okay. So that's interesting. So it might be one of her. Does she do therapy? Does she have patients?
Yes. She works in a psychiatric hospital where she has some inpatients and some outpatients.
Oh, well, so then, it could be one of her patients. I'm sure that comes into play. We have a couple of comments here. Joe Conjal says, "Hi, Terry. I see that you're with Kensington. Did you approach them with an agent when you queried them, or without?" I think he meant without or with an agent. Yeah, with or without an agent.
Actually, I got an agent first, and she approached Kensington with a manuscript that I wrote.
And they accepted you right away? That's
actually the first manuscript that she sent to them, they rejected. And so I went back to work and I wrote another one, which became All the Dark Places. And they made me an offer, and they wanted All the Dark Places.
Oh, well, that was relatively easy, honestly, just one rejection.
Yeah,
and then the second one, did they give you an idea of what they were looking for? And did you base the work around that?
Well, and it did take me 2 years to get an agent. So, and she shopped my the first manuscript that I gave her, she shopped that around a while, and then before she got to Kensington. But anyway, yeah, when Kensington rejected the first one, the editor said that he thought it was too quiet. And I thought, well, yeah, I guess a thriller shouldn't be too quiet. So when I wrote All the Dark Places, I made sure to keep the suspense really ramped up, and he liked that one.
Oh, good. And Pipstones Publishing says your book sounds intriguing. Yeah, they do. They all sound intriguing. And of course, they're speaking about wrong place. I'll get there in a minute.
Well, I appreciate them saying that.
Watch your back.
Very much.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a nice thing to say. It does sound intriguing.
It's not easy. It's not easy to get published. And you were lucky to get an agent even. And you said you sent out a lot of queries to
92.
Get just an agent, right?
Oh,
92 queries.
That is a lot.
Yep.
That really is a lot.
I retired from teaching. And I told my husband, because we still had 2 kids in college, I told him that I was going to work very hard at this. And if it didn't work out, I'd probably have gone back to work. But so I approached it like a job. I, sat at my computer first thing in the morning, and I researched agents and, perfected my query letter. And I really worked at it. And it took 92 queries, because you don't, at least my experience was that about half of those, you won't hear anything back. They just kind of disappear. Even when the agent says that they're looking for authors, they're looking for a particular genre and whatever, you still may not hear anything. And of the ones you hear back, a lot of those are just no's right off the bat. Then some will request a partial or a full manuscript, and then it can be no again. So it was a job just to get my agent, and I worked pretty hard at it. But and I think though that there's some luck involved, hitting the right agent on the right day at the right moment. I think luck goes a long way in this.
With the right ideas too. You got to have the right product. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to have a thick skin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Well, to write.
No, don't be afraid of rejection.
Well, I think whatever kind of artist you are, whether you write books or you paint or you do graphic arts or you're a dancer or a singer or whatever kind of creative person that you are, I think you should have a thick skin.
Yeah.
You should not
Mm-hmm.
get disillusioned easily, because not everybody likes everything, and that's
Right.
okay.
That's right. That's right.
There's a lot of trolls out there.
But I do think there's an audience for everyone.
There is.
I really do. No matter what your creativity is, I just think everybody should be creative. So Paul Rushworth Brown says hello from sunny Sydney. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the show.
Okay, time for our first break, believe it or not, already.
Really? Okay.
Chris Chrisman says rhino skin.
Yeah, Chris, you're right. We need rhino skin for sure.
Right. Okay, we're going to take our first commercial break. Everybody stay tuned. We've got a lot to talk about.
We'll be right back.
This novel, set against the backdrop of the English Civil War, explores love and survival amidst the chaos of war. It combines historical events with personal narratives, highlighting the impact of conflict on individuals and families. England, 1642. When bloody civil war breaks out between the king and parliament, families and communities are driven by different allegiances. Red Winter Journey is a sweeping tale of adventure and loss, sacrifice and love, with a unique and unforgettable story of a mother's love for her son at its heart. A historic journey of twists, turns, and a dash of spirited passion.
I finished reading the book a couple of days ago. It was a great read. The plot was indeed compelling, and I loved the conclusion. What I particularly enjoy in Paul's novels is his vivid recounting of historical details as to the social and cultural sides at the time. His characters are very likable and relatable.
It's 1919, and Eric Laska returns from the war in Europe. Two new enemies await him in the small, coal mining town he calls home. One is a threat to his relationship with Rebecca, the love of his life. The other, a bloodthirsty beast, is stalking the mining town residents. The townspeople suspect Eric of one of the killings. An old man and Rebecca's 11-year-old sister have seen the beast, but only Eric believes their story. To protect the town and clear his name, he's forced to prove the werewolf exists. Available on Amazon. The Horror Within by Marjorie Swift Doring.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Now comes part 4 in the Jaguar series by retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. In this saga, Brandon, Andrea, and Naja, the Black Jaguar, go deep into the Mato Grosso jungle on a mission to rescue 2 kidnapped children. During their journey, they encounter many dangers, including Yanomami Indians, bent on revenge for the murder of one of their warriors.
Return of the Jaguar is book 4 in the Jaguar series, starting with 2 phases of the Jaguar, The Lost City, and the Jaguar's Quest. All 4 are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other bookseller websites worldwide. Return of the Jaguar is a must-read.
And we're back.
Indeed we are.
And we have a comment. Let's see. George Dismukes.
George.
Egads just walked into the house. Sorry, that's okay.
No problem.
One of your commercials was just on, George. The your latest Naja book.
Yeah. So would you like to read a passage from Watch Your Back? Give us a little preview before.
Sure.
You want to set the stage for us?
I'm going to read actually the very first page, which is a prologue. And this is from Nathan's point of view, who is the husband. And it is, time period is right, it says now. I'm floating to the surface in a dark place, or maybe the darkness is inside me. I have no idea where I am. Pain fills every corner of my body. My brain seems to quiver with disparate thoughts, and I can't seem to latch on to what's happened to me, and I'm scared witless. The sharp tang of betadine fills the air, and the smell centers me. It nudges me to consciousness. I hear a clatter as a door opens, then quiet when it closes. A light, cold hand touches my arm, and it feels like needles shooting through my body. But I can't see anything, and a mask over my mouth is pushing air into my lungs. I must be in the hospital. I fight through the cobwebs of my mind, trying to remember how I got here, how this happened. It was dark. I was outside. She hit me in the back of the head, something heavy like a brick or a baseball bat. Then I tumbled down the deck stairs, all 12 of those steep suckers, and landed on the concrete patio below. I lay there in the dark, shivering in the cold, warm blood oozing around my head. Then that's it, all I can recall. Now I'm here, and she's here, in the room with me, sitting close by my bed. I can't see her, but I smell my wife's lavender perfume, her signature scent, and I feel her presence. You always know when Eve enters a room, tall, slim, shiny blonde hair sweeping her delicate collarbones. She's not someone you'd forget or ignore, but our lives took a dramatic turn days ago, weeks ago. I have no idea how much time has passed. It was a perfect storm, and she blames me. Granted, I am to blame. But now I'm here and I don't know how bad it is. Will I die from my injuries? Maybe that's what I deserve.
Wow. Well, that makes you want to find out what the heck that is all about.
Watch your back.
Yes. Well, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your detective,
Okay.
And then maybe a little bit about, first of all the dark places, and then what waits in the woods without any spoilers.
Okay. When I set out to write the first thriller, All the Dark Places, I wanted to have a detective who, would kind of be the focus, but sort of kind of share the limelight with another protagonist, which would change with each book. But anyway, my detective is, her name is Rita Myers, and she's 60 years old. And that was important to me, that I had a detective who was an older woman. When I started writing Rita, she and I were the same age, but I've gone past her now. But I thought that, we really could use a detective, a woman who was 60 or older, who was not a caricature, who was not, somebody who was the butt of jokes, who was strong and vital and attractive and still living her best life. So that's how I came up with Rita Myers. And again, as she was, all those things were really important to me. And I've had a lot of good feedback from readers who really have enjoyed her, because she kind of says what's on her mind. I think, myself having gotten to that age, that you get to a point where you just want to say what, you maybe you don't have as good a filter as you should sometimes, but anyway, she says what she thinks, and she's kind of the backbone of all three books. And she also, her story unfolds through all three books as well. She has her own character arc, and she's working through some things. And in Watch Your Back, which is the third book, we see how she has come a long way in dealing with relationships and her family. She's the baby of a very large family, and they've had their typical, family issues and things. And so Rita does evolve as the books go on.
That's great.
It is.
That's really good.
Let
me read
that idea.
Let me read some of the comments for you. Paul Hollis said that was very compelling. I'm hooked. Your reading. And Pipstone's Publishing applauded. And George Dismuke said, I've been through part of that back during my drinking days. And Chris Chrisman said, wow, powerful reading. And then Chris Chrisman also said, I love older characters, dang it, LOL. Well, yeah, you've definitely got an audience. I think that, that's a big part of the reading audience of people that are going to be attracted to that. And Joe Conchal said, I love that. There's not enough older detective protagonists out there. Exactly. Anyway, contemporary ones, Agatha Christie for sure had them. But, and then Paul says, interesting. Yeah, I think that's really good. Of course, 60 is the age of, our oldest kids. So maybe we should write about an 80-year-old.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you think they'd still let them work? Probably not.
Well,
Dave Murray said one for the older folks. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we read so many books of, people with detectives or other protagonists who are in their 20s and their 30s, and that's fine. But it's like, my thinking is that, I'm a baby boomer and baby boomers read, and I like to read about people my own age.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think baby boomers do read, and baby boomers are the ones who were taught the classics and had to read the classics in school. And
before they got banned.
Yeah, and we didn't have video games, so we read,
Yes. Yeah.
And that it's definitely, I think, a large part of the reading audience. And Paul says 60 is the new 40.
Absolutely.
It actually is. I think it is, And
yeah, and in each of my books too, I have the kind of the other protagonist. You have Rita, who's investigating these crimes, and then you have another really kind of a main character. And those characters are, if you start with All the Dark Places, Molly Bradley is in her 30s. So, I think that there's a character for everybody to relate to. And All the Dark Places.
Go ahead.
Do you want me to talk about each book?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay.
All the Dark Places, go right ahead.
Yeah, in All the Dark Places, Molly Bradley is 30-something. She's married kind of her Prince Charming. She's living the life she's always wanted. And she wakes up after her husband's 40th birthday party to find that he's been brutally murdered in his home office. Oh. And that all happens in the first chapter, so I'm not giving anything away. And so it's Molly trying to, get through all of this. And she's had a troubled past that no one knows about except, very close family and things. But she's had a lot to live down and get over. And her husband was her rock, and now he's gone. And Rita comes in to investigate this murder, and she comes to the conclusion that the murderer was one of the people at the birthday party, one of the Bradley's close friends.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. So, of course, she's got to figure out why someone who was close to Jay Bradley, who was a beloved psychologist, that, everybody's best friend, why would anybody want him dead? And so, Rita has to figure this out. Molly has to somehow survive through all of this
very
trauma.
Interesting. So you have a psychologist in the first book, and I know in your latest book. How about What Waits in the Woods? Is there a psychologist in that one?
No, I've taken a very different track there because I don't want to write about the same kind of things. What Waits in the Woods is, of course, Rita's there to investigate. But the other main character is a 29-year-old former ballerina. I got to indulge my love of ballet. I watched a lot of ballet videos for research and enjoyed that very much. But I've always loved ballet. And so this book allowed me to explore that world a little bit. And Esme, who is the ballerina, she has her career has ended at the age of 29 because of an injury that injury that sometimes happens to ballet dancers. And, her career is over. She's broke. She has family problems. So she hasn't been home to stay really in years, but she has nowhere to go. She has, she breaks up with her boyfriend. She's been fired from the ballet company. She goes home because she has really nowhere else to go. So she goes back home only to discover, as she pulls into her driveway, that there are cop cars all over around her dad's house, and there's been a murder in her backyard, in her dad's backyard.
Wow.
And so that book, What Waits in the Woods, was kind of like my dipping into the arts a little bit, because there's a character who is a costume designer who happens to live in that same neighborhood, and there are different things that are going on, but I got to get into the arts a little bit with that book.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. And of course, you do have your detective running through all three of these books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And will she have a fourth book?
Well, right now I'm working on book number 4, and she will not be in that book. We're giving her a rest. We're letting her recharge. This book is also a domestic thriller, but it is not going to rely so much on the police procedural side of things. It's more on the protagonist dealing with family issues and a murder in their midst. And I'm giving Rita a rest, but she's definitely not gone.
Well, good, because I think people probably love her. Paul Rushworth Brown said, interesting how many teachers are authors. Why do you think this is? Any thoughts, Terri?
Well, I don't know about teachers in general, but I know with English teachers, I decided to be an English teacher because I love books. I loved literature. And again, I'm kind of a practical person who knew that when I graduated from college, I was going to have to pay back my student loans, and I was going to have a job. And what job can you get where books are front and center? And that is, teaching high school English was one of the few jobs where I could indulge my love of books and writing and things. And it just seemed like a natural progression from that. So I think teachers are people who think a lot, if that makes sense, that we, we're interested in things, and in reading and writing and things like that. So I think it's kind of a natural thing to be a writer if you're a teacher.
Yeah. So
Makes sense.
We know other English teachers that have become authors, and Linda Pirtle, for example, she was an English teacher and then she was a principal. And that brings us to Joe Congel's question. So, Terri, are you a plotter or a pantser?
I am both, in a way. I always have kind of a beginning, middle, and end. I have a very loose outline. So I'm kind of in the middle. I know I'm not a complete pantser, because I wouldn't know where to go. But I don't always follow my outline, and I'm not real. I know there are authors who do, very in-depth outlines where they've got Post-it notes and they've got, all kinds of details filled in. And I don't have the discipline to do that. I like to be able to sit in front of my keyboard and kind of let the story and the characters go where they will within a framework.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of a hybrid. Now, Linda, as I mentioned, is the English teacher, principal, now author. She's definitely a plotter. So, so all the outlines that you learned in school when you were taking English, she does that. And she does, And we know other authors too that have all the, Post-it notes all over their boards, and yeah.
I don't have the discipline to do that, and it would be too anxiety producing to it would fill me with anxiety to have to be that detailed and to think about that before I actually did my writing.
Now, I don't know if you do this, but we keep a running notes on the age and what the people look like and what their names are and their middle name and their last name and all that kind of thing. And we keep that so that we can refer back to that, because otherwise, frankly, we'd forget while we were writing. They would have brown hair in chapter 1 and blonde hair in chapter 3, and that would be good.
When I started writing All the Dark Places, I did come up with a whole fact sheet on Rita and her whole family. And she's the baby of 9 kids. And I had everybody's name. And I mean, that I can do that, filling out sheets of characters and their characteristics and that kind of thing. It's like you say, you forget as you're writing. And, I mean, obviously we all make mistakes, but boy, readers will find them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of it you don't even use. When you think about them. Some of those things just aren't important once you get them in the story.
But we actually do that.
We do.
I mean, we do it a very detailed one about how old they are and what happened at a certain age. And we may not even use it in the story, but we know it. And it fleshes out the character for us, I think. I think that's why we do it.
We need to take our last break. And when we get back, we'll let everybody know how to reach you and we'll talk some more.
Yeah. Okay.
So don't go away, folks.
Don't go away.
The clock is ticking. Can Gracie uncover the truth?
Philip Pliant is the wealthy opportunist plastics dealer and CEO of Pliant Industries. He's also a master thief, creating a pervasive threat to the manufacturing infrastructure in the Caribbean islands markets. With the cartel as his stealth client, the naive city leaders have been seduced, enabling the production of more than 3-dimensional building materials.
The expected profits are monstrous.
Is the art group, now led by Gracie and the family heirs, strong enough to win against this predator?
Can JJ's cats act on the root cause analysis in time?
Will Gracie be able to squash Pliant and the cartels?
Gracie never considered their lives would hang in the balance. The clock is ticking. 5, 4, 3.
Have you wanted to publish your story? Have you thought about self-publishing? Today is your day. 5-star Amazon review. Self-publish your ebook on Amazon for free in 2024. This ebook is available on Amazon. By Becca L. Jones.
Paradise, my prison. Charlie Flint awakens from a deep sleep and finds himself alone on a tropical beach surrounded by a palm tree jungle and exotic animals. He cannot remember who he is or anything about his life. First, he must find food and build shelter and protect himself from hidden dangers. As his memory gradually returns, it reveals what a very flawed person he is. A man who made too many mistakes, made too many enemies. The implications of the truth are staggering. How did Charlie get there? And will he save himself? Paradise, My Prison is the riveting new suspense thriller from retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. Paradise, My Prison by George Dismukes is available in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats worldwide.
And we're back.
Once again.
Yeah. And I just realized the protagonist of James's latest book is a 77-year-old woman.
Oh.
And she's feisty and smart and gets herself out of very difficult situations. So
one thing about being older is you can fly under the radar because a lot of people don't pay any attention to you.
And that's the premise.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you can solve a case pretty easy, right?
Yep.
That's sad but true. I mean, really, you can be waiting in line and they will look at every young person in there and just their eyes just go right over you, and you're like, hello.
Yes, that's true.
Ageism is a real thing, folks. It really is. Let me bring up where they can. Well, really, we just need to bring up this one place, and that's Terri's website. And it's terriparlato.com. Easy to remember and easy to find. And for those of you who are listening to the audio portion of this show, it's TerriParlato.com. And if you go there, you can find all of her social media links in that one easy place. So that was easy peasy. That's for sure. And guess what we never put up?
Oh, I forgot to put that up.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
We'll eventually
Sorry
get the
about
hang
that.
of this.
Yeah, one of these days we'll learn what we're doing. I wanted to ask you about your covers.
Okay.
One thing I like is, and noticed right away, is one letter on each cover is either upside down or backwards. Can you tell us what happened with that?
Well, Kensington has a great art department. And the man who has done all three of my covers, he started that. I was thrilled with it. I thought it was a great idea. With thrillers, things are not always what they seem. You have twists and things that have to be discovered. And it just seemed to make sense that, things were sometimes backwards or upside down.
Yeah. So in all the dark places, the A in dark is upside down. And what waits in the woods, the D in woods is inverted. And in watch your back, the R is backwards.
Yes.
In your. Well, there's no other R except in yours. So I guess I didn't need to say that. And Paul Rushworth Brown says, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very.
I was
smart.
very pleased. I was very pleased with
I see why
the
you were.
cover art.
Yeah.
It's very unique. You know? You don't see that.
And see, that's letting a creative person, do their own creative expression of something. And
yes, I mean, I had no input on the covers, and it just, I'm not a visual artist, so he is. That's his, his genre, and he did a great job.
Yeah, I think so too. All the dark places conveys darkness with the dark. There are dark trees for those of you that are just listening, and a bright lit window, but a dark house. So that conveys that they're all different kinds of dark places. Paul Rushworth Brown said, I took the day off work just to watch this show. Well, thank you, Paul.
That's nice.
That was
good
very
to see
nice.
You. Glad you came.
Yes.
Yeah. And then in What Waits in the Woods is actually like really, for those that can't see this, it's really dark flowers in the background in like a teal and red.
And they're almost growing over the
words.
The title.
Yeah. And then the title is in red, and that's really cool. And then Watch Your Back is a home. This looks like a very nice home, an inviting home. And then, of course, the strange part is the R and the your, and there's a slash coming down through all the words.
Yeah, it's almost like it's peeling down
the veil.
A veil.
Yeah, it does look like that. Chris Christman said, you have to trust your cover designer. Yeah. Yeah.
So another thing our folks like to know about is, how is Kensington with your marketing?
They do a good job. I've been so pleased. I mean, when I'm writing, I'm in my wheelhouse. I know, I'm comfortable. I understand the process, but the business aspect of being an author, from, promotion to social media, all of that has been a huge challenge. It's not something that's natural to me. It's been very tough, but Kensington has been great with, their marketing department. They have done so much to help me that, I have no clue how to do any of that. So,
yeah, like we talked about in the pre-show, it's shocking to all authors. I think you write the book and you think, whoa, this is cool. I wrote a book. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, wait a minute, how am I going to get people to read this book?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to do the marketing,
Mm-hmm.
which is why we started this podcast to begin with, was to help authors, because it's tough.
Yes.
I think Paul Hollis has talked about it more than once, that when Paul started writing and we started writing, there were about 1 million authors on Amazon. And I think that Paul said right now there's about 32 million.
Wow.
So it's a lot tougher nowadays to get your book noticed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really is. It's a really tough game. So many people are writing.
Yes.
And everyone's an author. It's no longer a unique thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people still are always like, oh, you're an author? But you know what I mean. A lot of people are writing nowadays. And,
yes.
And it's really tough to get noticed.
Mm-hmm.
I think especially mystery thriller genre is well populated with authors.
Yes.
I think it's
really a very, very crowded field.
It is a very crowded field, and it's difficult to get noticed. But I think it's a crowded field because so many of us loved that genre, to read that genre, and that's why we love writing that genre.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun.
Yes.
To be able to legally murder people.
Yeah, it's I mean, I love the mystery, the putting together the pieces to, lead the reader to, sometimes down a blind alley, but lead them eventually to a satisfying conclusion. And it's, leaving the breadcrumbs without giving the game away too early. It's a bit of a challenge, but it's a fun challenge.
Yeah, it is. In reading a mystery, that's the fun part of the mystery. See if you can figure it out.
Right.
I mean, I think it is for most readers. They want to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on a little bit on your next book. Do you have a working title yet? And when might we expect it to be coming out?
Don't have a title yet. And again, titles are hard for me. And luckily, people at Kensington are good at helping with that. It doesn't have a title yet, but it is going to be published, they think, in March of 2026.
Whoa. Okay.
So yeah, I've got a little while before the next one comes out.
There you go.
But I'm kind of thrilled that it won't be at Christmas time again, because all three of my books have released right at Christmas. And it's just such a busy time of year. And I think people are busy. And so I think March will be wonderful.
Yeah. I agree with you.
When you first think of it, it's, hey, that would be a great idea. People will be buying presents and stuff. No, I don't think so. Hasn't been our experience.
No, we sell more books at other times of the year than we do at Christmas. Which I thought that too. I thought that would be a great time to publish, but maybe not so much. But so March might be a really good time. Though I do know, like, we're doing that Booksy thing for Christmas.
The sale, yeah.
We're doing the sale for Christmas. And people do buy books for people. We just bought one of our grandsons a book for Christmas. From Amazon, and it just came here. And we usually try to buy our grandkids books.
Mhm.
I don't know why. Might have something to do with that we're authors.
Right, right. Yeah, I try to buy books too, and yeah, they do make great gifts.
Oh, they do. They do. And there's so many, like I just said, 32 million books, titles you can choose from.
Mhm.
You can find just about anything,
Mhm.
So your next book will then be another thriller,
It
but
is, yes.
not with your detective.
No, Rita's going to take a break. I'm a little afraid of, I created her books all take place in a fictional town, small town, and um, I don't want her little town to become the murder capital of the world either. So, so I think we're going to give Rita a little bit of a break, but I definitely, will have her back.
Well, that's really funny because Joe Conjal, who's been commenting on here, and we are part of a series that takes place in a little town in Texas called Magnolia Bluff. And it is the murder capital. And I think quickly becoming the paranormal capital of the country. So, because we all write about the same town. It's all different authors, but we all write about the same town. And, we've just killed a whole lot of people. People still come there and visit there. I don't know why, because and the college is quickly becoming a very scary place to go to college too. So.
Well, colleges make good settings for murder mysteries.
Yes. One of our authors, his protagonist is a college professor. Oh, actually, he's a psychoanalyst. He teaches psychology and he's a working therapist at the college both. So yeah, it's really, his books are very interesting. Well, we love all of the books. We love all of our authors, and your books really sound great. I think that the titles really grab you, like All the Dark Places. That's scary. What Waits in the Woods, that's really scary. And Watch Your Back is also really scary. So those are all really good titles.
Thank you.
Anyway, I think we've just about run out of time.
We're getting there, aren't we? Alrighty. Thank you so much for joining us, Terri.
Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful. Like, as we talked about, it's hard to get your books noticed out there. And so I am so very grateful for everybody who's helped me in this journey, and grateful to both of you. And it's been just a joy talking to you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful having you on. And Joe Conjal said, and if you want to check it out, they'll all be on sale Tuesday the 17th, LOL, which I don't know if you were listening, but we already said that, but it bears repeating. All of our books will be on sale, and Joe's will be free.
Joe's is free.
Yeah.
And you can find them all on the series page for Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles on Amazon.
But this will be a sale through Booksy. I don't know if you've ever done Booksy, but you should check it out.
Right.
It's a marketing thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move you over. There we go. And let's see, what else we want to talk about here? Anything?
Nope, I think we talked about it all.
Yeah. Okay.
Joe Conjal says, another great show tonight. Thank you, Terri. And of course, Robin Joan. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe, for showing up.
Paul Hollis said, another wonderful show. Thank you, Joan, Rob, and Terri. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Our audience is the best audience in the world. Chris Chrisman said, thanks for another great show. Thank you, Terri.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. You guys make the show. The authors and the audience make the show.
That's right.
You are all the best. Paul Rushworth Brown said, love you, Rob and Joan. We love you too, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for taking the day off. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Now you can go back to work, young man.
Yeah.
Pipstone's
Publishing said,
thanks
love
for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Joan.
Yeah, I knew you.
Joan B.
Yeah, I knew you meant Joan. I
always
always add that B in too when I'm when I'm texting.
But when you say it, it's a silent B, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Alrighty. So I guess until next time.
That's all, folks.
Night, guys.
Good.
Live every Wednesday, your Voice of Indie hosts Beam Weeks and Stephen Gees welcome authors, musicians, publishing industry pros, artists, and assorted creative guests for an exciting interactive hour. Call in during the show or post questions and comments on Twitter for responses in real time. Meet your favorite indie creators, learn inside tips, network, and promote your work. The link for each week's show is pinned on Twitter atop @VoiceOfIndie, and you can receive the link every Wednesday morning in your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter at freshinkgroup.com. Check out Voice of Indie every Wednesday on Blog Talk Radio and catch hundreds of episodes archived everywhere from our websites to our YouTube channel and Spotify.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more.